All right, well, welcome. Thanks for coming on this beautiful day. Welcome to MCSC Women's Business Center. We are a nonprofit business center serving entrepreneurs in SLO, Kern, and Monterey counties. Today, we are going to be talking about ergonomics. There we go. We provide support to individuals looking at all employment as a viable, self-employment as a viable option. We help startups and existing small businesses with mentoring, entrepreneurial training courses in English and Spanish, and classes like this. Our consultants can help you with budgeting, marketing, social media, website development, HR, and tax planning. If you have a business need, we can almost certainly help you with it. Today, I would like to thank David Wing and Charlie Shad for presenting today. David is an IT professional with only over 20 years experience. He's currently the IT manager for Central Coast Community Energy, which provides electricity in partnership with PG&E to surrounding counties. David has a focus on wellness in the workplace and has spent most of his career working with HR firms and executive teams to prioritize ergonomics and wellness in work environments. He's passionate about making sure that everyone is comfortable and healthy at work, and that's why he is here today. Charlie will be leading us in a 15-minute chair yoga session after David's presentation. Charlie is well-versed in yoga, the Silver Sneakers program for older people, and is also a certified personal trainer. She's been teaching at the YMCA in San Luis Obispo for 5 years and can teach students ranging in age from 16 to 160. Simply put, Charlie loves movement. Her passion is inspiring, and we are delighted she's here for you today. So thank you both for being here today. Before we start, I just wanted to cover a few basic housekeeping items. The class gives you the option to have your cameras on or off and to ask questions with your microphone. So while you are not speaking, if you just keep your microphone muted, that will help limit the distractions and mute your phone. You can have your camera on or off as you please. David loves feedback and you are encouraged to participate, so don't be shy. And this webinar is being recorded and I will email you the link once the recording is processed. So David will speak and then Charlie will speak. So we have a quick poll we'd like you to take just to find out how you heard about us. So I'm going to go ahead and launch that. Oh, my poll has disappeared. So we won't be doing a poll. If you could just put in the chat box how you heard about this webinar, that would be great. I'll give you a few seconds to do that. All right, so without further ado, I hand you over to David.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us today.
Is anyone having trouble hearing David?
I got muted.
Oh, there you are.
My video cut out. I think you did a mute all or video all, and I got included in that. Everybody hear me okay now?
Yes.
All right. So what I wanted to talk a little bit about today is kind of setting yourself up for success in your work environment, give you kind of some basics of where to start with that and how to work your way to a comfortable working environment, where chronic injury and pain come from most commonly and how to identify where your pain could be coming from, and also why we do it. So to start with today, I kind of want to talk about the secret and scary injuries that come out of this. And they happen because something that we may do casually several times a day amplifies over many, many thousands of instances. So if we do any one activity 5 or 6 times a day, and we work 200 days a year, you can see how quickly over a long period of time, you're getting thousands of instances of that bad habit that at the beginning didn't cause you any issues. So that it's like a hidden, cause. It's very difficult to identify where those come from. Repetitive stress injuries lead to inflammation, chronic pain, pinched nerves. And what I want to talk about today is kind of identifying some of those and then how to prevent some of them from ever happening to begin with. So normally when I have these conversations, I do them in person with people volunteering to come up and sit down and do kind of a live environment, which of course we can't do any of that in this. So please bear with me. I'm going to try and verbally describe a lot of the things today. I'm going to try and give you some visual demos for some items, and we'll take lots of questions and talk about your own individual scenarios as time permits. So the first thing I want to start with, whenever you go to set up a working environment, the first thing you want to start with is from a solid base of support. So the most important thing to address from the beginning is that you have a properly fit chair, that your chair fully supports your back and your bottom, and your feet are firmly planted on the ground as well, without them being too high or too low. From there, you build up everything else. And the keys to dealing with chairs are getting the right length of the base, the right width for your arms. If you need arm braces or arm rests, that those be adjustable to the right height, and that your feet can still be firmly planted and resting on the ground while you're still completely in position. So you can imagine how difficult that task really is. I'm almost 6 feet tall. The chair that I may sit in, being a larger gentleman, versus someone that maybe is 5 foot tall, is dramatically different. The height of that chair in comparison to the desk, everything about that is dramatically different. So it's really important to know how to go in and size your chair correctly. Where I like to start with sizing a chair is actually with a 2 to 3 finger gap behind the knee. So if I'm sitting firmly all the way back in my chair and I'm properly supported and my lumbar support is engaged and I'm firmly back in my chair, I should be able to fit 2 to 3 fingers between the gap between the back of my leg or the calf and the front of that chair. So why is this so important? In a lot of the things we're going to discuss today, we talk about subconscious behaviors of the human body. The human body, when it relaxes, instead of focusing on something, will naturally adjust itself to comfort. If that gap between the back of your calf and the front of the chair is not the right size, you will start doing one of these things. You'll do the scooch and slouch. You will do the sit on the end of your chair and hunch. Anybody ever do those? And find yourself like all of a sudden in the middle of the day sitting on the edge of your chair, scooted forward. Well, you just lost all the support, all the lumbar support, all the back support, and you lost that good positioning that the chair was giving you, all because you subconsciously move and scooch because you don't have a properly fitted chair. Most major manufacturers have a chair depth option where you can order a small, a medium, large, extra large, and then we'll also change the length and the width of the chair to fit everyone. So it's really important to have that nice gap there. Ways that we can deal with that when we don't have a lot of money is you can take that chair and you can put a pillow, a lumbar support pillow that straps to the chair to provide extra support and allow you to move forward if your legs are a little shorter and the chair is a little too long. There's ways to adjust that way, but it's recommended that you get a chair that's fully fitted. Now, when you go and get a properly linked chair, we have another challenge. Someone that's 6'4" versus someone that's 5 foot tall, the distance to the ground is going to be a major challenge. You need your feet to be fully planted on the ground without lifting your legs so high that you can stick your hand underneath your thigh at the front of the chair. You should only have 2 or 3 fingers that fit there as well. There should be a gap, but not your legs are hanging and dangling or your toes touch the ground. So getting that fully square and supported, we can build from that foundation up to everything else, your monitor, your mouse, your keyboard, everything else. We want to start with that chair. You guys are very familiar with tilt, angle adjustment, all of those things. Everybody's pretty familiar with those. I do recommend that you get, you do have adjustable armrests and that you get fully tilted and adjustable and height adjustable chairs whenever possible. Any questions about chairs? I know I'm covering everything as very quickly. Does anybody have any questions about chairs?
I don't have a question, David, but I did scoot the back of my chair further forward when you said that.
There you
I
go.
was perching.
So another thing to consider when you are shopping for chairs is the chairs will actually get rated by hours. A lot of times chairs will have, the professional chairs will be rated as 1, 4, or 8-hour chairs. And what they're really getting at is the quality of the foam padding in the base of the chair determines how long you can really sit in it comfortably. And also the quality of the fabrics themselves. So a lot of times I recommend, depending on the environment, to have a fabric cushion base with like a nice dense foam base, but a mesh back as an option that can help with heating issues, overheating, depending on your environment. It just depends on what you're comfortable with. There are so many options. Working with a professional to properly get fitted, I highly recommend it. Now, once you have one more challenge for those that are more petite on the smaller side, you're going to struggle a lot of times with the chairs that are readily available, getting them to go low enough. Our HR manager is under 5 foot tall here in the office. And how do you deal with that situation where my legs are, I went and I got a shorter chair and I got that, but even when it's all the way down, my feet aren't firmly planted on the ground. What you want to do is you want to get a adjustable foot base, or I've even seen people make them out of wood, to give you a 4 to 5 inch lift where you can get your chair up and to where the chair is working properly, but you have your feet fully supported on that. So getting a support, you guys have seen those on your desk before probably, where they have tilting versions. They have ones with like massaging beads on top, all kinds of different options. But the key is to make the chair work for you, even if the chair doesn't go down low enough. So even if you get the chair all the way down, if you still feel like you're not firmly planted and you have that proper gap under your knee or in front of your knee, then you're going to want to get a foot support to lift that up. So from there, once we have our chair working, we can actually address our desk. Okay, so if your chair is, if you're at a standard desk, in most cases, it's a writing height desk. And the problem with that is that's the ideal height for where the keyboard should actually be for you to be at rest. So some of the challenge there is, depending on how you are situated at a desk, you may need to put a keyboard tray and mount one underneath, or you may need to, if you put the keyboard on top, you may need to raise your chair up in order for you to properly be above the keyboard. So I'm going to try to give you a visual on some of this, but when I talk about above a keyboard, okay, what I mean is we should not be doing this rest where where we're at level and the keyboard is above our elbow and we're doing this. And the reason is, and we're going to talk about keyboard and mouse selection in a minute, but the reason we want to be have it above like this is all about the angle and the wrist. Every time that we bend our wrist, we amplify the amount of nerve activity and tendon activity by 10 times. I used to love doing this in person, but you can actually put an electrode monitor on someone's arm and have them actually do a task with their arm straight and then bend their wrist and do a task and watch it literally go to 200 times as many electric impulses going through their arm. It's crazy how much a difference that makes. So when we look at a mouse, for example, this is an ergonomic mouse. I'll talk about that a little bit later. If everybody can see, it's kind of a weird shape. You see how it's actually kind of curved where your hand doesn't rest on it normally. This particular mouse, my hand rests on it sideways. It's actually sideways. What we're solving with a mouse like that is that wrist bend.
David, did we lose you?
Yeah, my video just went out. Hold on. Can you hear me? Can you guys see me now?
Yes.
Yeah, my video went away for some reason. So anybody have any of these little micro mice? Anybody have any of these? Show of hands. Anybody have these? Okay. Pretty much, unless you have an insanely small hand, it's pretty much the worst thing you could do to your wrist and to your elbow. And I'm going to show you kind of why. A lot of things in IT were invented but never explained. So mice are an example of that. They were invented so that your hand would actually rest on that little ball part like this. Your fingers would relax over the front and you could just keep your wrist nice and straight and you click. Anyone ever do that ever? No, we're tactile. So what do? We put our fingertips on the buttons. We move our hand back, and the next thing you know, you're doing a combination of this. Anybody do that? It's a horrible experience, okay? These mini mice, these travel mice, are not intended for regular use, okay? So unless you are a very tiny person, don't use one of these. If you look at the best mice in the marketplace for solving chronic elbow pain and chronic wrist pain, they're going to be set up in such a way to get you to relax your hand so it's not clawed, and they're going to be trying to focus on getting your hand and wrist straight. Again, going back to that, every time I bend my wrist, I'm activating 10 times more nerves and tendon act through my arm all the way up into my shoulder. So how do we do that? We switch to a mouse that's shaped more like this. Now, this is the back view of it. And I'm showing you this on purpose because what we're switching to is more of a handshake. So I want everybody that can, you don't have to show me, but everyone that can, okay? You think about grabbing your mouse, you go like this, okay? Think about shaking hands though. Reach your hand out in front of you and just kind of get the feeling of it. Now you look at my wrist when I'm shaking hands. Is it ever bent? The second I go to shake hands, I fully supported it. It's in a natural position and it's straightened out and I've taken all that tension out of it, okay? So one of the recommendations I have, don't get a thumb track ball because then you're just gonna put the injury into your thumb. What we wanna do to solve injury is use big control muscles that are designed in our body to take a lot of abuse, okay? So switching to a mouse that's designed around a handshake mouse. Now you look at this and you'll notice my hand isn't like this, it's sideways. This is a compromised version, but it's rotated my wrist. And now my wrist, because it's rotated, it's still in alignment. It's still straight. Can you guys kind of get the visual on me not bending the wrist back? They have different levels of those and they have them in both left and right handed. And they have different levels to the point where there are some mice that are like grabbing a book, putting on a shelf, where you literally, the mouse is completely vertical and you're squeezing it like this, and the buttons are sideways up and down. Now, what's great about that is you're resting this big pad on the bottom of your hand on the mount on the ground there, and you're keeping that constant hand shaking motion. And this allows your wrist to stay straight no matter how you move your mouse around on the desk, your wrist will stay straight. And that's one of the keys that I've been working on and changing our entire infrastructure here when I came on board, is switching everybody over that. This Microsoft mouse is their Ergonomics Sculpt series. It's just an example. There are many mice out there that are less expensive, aftermarket ones of varying sizes and shapes. So please try working on that. The other side of the coin here is that we talked about pinching the wrist, okay? The other one that's commonly there's, why do they have ergonomic keyboards? What's the purpose of an ergonomic keyboard? There's two purposes primarily for an ergonomic keyboard. One of them is to address the natural angle of your body. So if you hold your hand up in front of you like this, you'll notice that my arm is not straight underneath it. It's 15 degrees sideways. They've even experimented with like making tennis rackets with bent handles and all kinds of stuff to address the fact that your wrist and arm are not this. Okay, that natural relaxed state, that 15-degree bend, and the way that our wrists and arms connect is why we have split keyboards and we have them moved out so that your arms can actually get to a natural rest state. If I were working on an ergonomic keyboard and I'm relaxed, my hands are actually coming in at an angle and they keep that angle. If I'm on a standard keyboard, I either have to turn my wrists out, creating tension. Again, every time that we work to create, we're bending, we're creating extra tension and stress. Or I have to bring my combination of bringing my arms in, and now I'm activating, instead of large groups, I'm activating small twitch muscles, and I'm long term, over long years of use, creating injury from that. So what I recommend, and there are many different levels to work yourself up to it. This is just our standard one that we use in the office here. This is the Microsoft Wave. This is the Microsoft Sculpt keyboard. Now, I don't know if you guys remember the original one of these. They were gigantic. They were giant beasts with huge pads this thick. This is the modern wireless version with thin chiclet keyboards. See how small and thin those keys are? The lighter and smaller the keys are, the less you have to press, and the less tension and the less inflammation we create during normal business as well. So the lighter the touch, the thinner the keys, the better. This one allows for that split, allows for me to naturally kind of sit there without putting this tension on myself. The other thing you're going to notice, what's missing from this keyboard? Can anybody tell me?
Is it the space bar?
No, the space bar is the split part in the middle, right at the bottom where it normally is. What's missing from this keyboard?
A wire?
Nope, it's wireless. That's pretty normal. But what's missing is the
Side keypad?
Do you guys see the 10 key on here?
No.
The actual number pad. Do you see it? Okay. So what does this allow for? The number pad is actually.
You can unmute yourself if you want to speak, as opposed to typing in the chat box. It's your choice.
So the number pad is actually not included. Why did they do that? Can anybody have any ideas? Because it allows you to move your mouse over to the natural state next to the keyboard closer. It allows you to pick this up and work on it in a relaxed way, like a calculator. It allows you to have the mouse on the other side or the right side, doesn't matter, or have this with your left hand instead of forced to your right hand. So by tightening up where that mouse can be, we're alleviating the stress on our shoulder by moving it out even farther. Anybody ever get chronic shoulder pain right through the lat here or across the neck on their mouth side? Okay. A lot of times it's because we're doing the reach, and that reach can be for two different reasons. The keyboard only fits in a certain space, so we put our mouse up in a different space and we're doing this reach. No, we need to solve that problem right away. After a year or two, that can become a serious injury and lead to other injuries long-term due to inflammation. We need to get that keyboard and the mouse in the same working plane, and we need to get in that relaxed state. So a lot of times we find ourselves in a really tough situation where maybe we have an antique desk and we made that antique desk work and we sit at this desk that was made for writing, okay? Or we can't get it, it's a family heirloom. How do we deal with that? Getting the mouse in the right plane or that. Okay, how we deal with that is you can put if possible, you can mount under desk a large enough unit to accommodate your keyboard and mouse. And even then, using something like this, where the number pad doesn't have to be right there, allows the mouse to go from way over here on the right in close to get rid of that spread. And you're keeping them on the same playing field. Okay. The other option, I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, is it's called a sit-stand desk adapter. I don't know if you guys familiar with sit-stand desks? Everybody pretty familiar with those? They go up and down either by crank or electronics, hydraulics. Megan, are you asking a question? Okay, Megan, I didn't know if you were, Megan Rios, I didn't know if you were asking a question because you were talking. We can't hear you if you were asking a question. Okay, anyways, so the idea is with those is you can actually set a platform designed specifically to fit on top of your desk where you level out the keyboard and tray, properly lift up the monitors so that they're right height, which we're going to talk about in a minute. And you have the ability, if you want, you can actually crank it and stand it'll actually on either springs or hydraulics stand and take a regular desk and do that. What are the side effects to doing that? First, we just meant all that time and effort we put into our chair, we just lost it if we put that on top of the desk, right? So start over again, lift your chair up so that it's at the right height for you to be in a relaxed state, and then get the support you need under your feet by putting a riser or other thing under there so that your feet are properly supported. So a lot of times if we make one adjustment, we need to start back at the bottom again and make the adjustment work there as well. So questions about keyboards and mice. These are not, don't just buy this product. That's not what I'm not getting into evangelizing one thing, but I want you guys to consider these options when you go to make those purchases or things that commonly cause pain. So if you have inflammation in your elbow or tennis elbow, if you have inflammation in your shoulder or side that then the mouse is on, those injuries are indication of repetitive stress due to your work environment. And a lot of times it's getting that playing field between mouse and keyboard leveled out and using creative tools like changing your mouse to a vertical one. Those will take a lot of that stress out.
David, we did have a question. Where would one find these sorts of items?
Every major office supply store has a wide range, but you also can go to places you may not think of, like Best Buy. Amazon has a wide range, and you can get a lot of question and answers from those types of sites. And then there are sites that are dedicated to ergonomics that sell specifically ergonomic related products just for this purpose. And you can actually talk to a professional about your concerns and what's going on.
And could you repeat what a vertical mouse is, please?
Absolutely. So a standard mouse that we're used to seeing, like this is a travel mouse, okay? It is very flat. Our hand rests on it, and we tend to not rest it the way it was originally designed, where the palm is on the round part and we rest like this. We do the chicken claw, bend our wrist down to the ground, and it's flat like this, okay? So if I'm looking at the front, if I look at my wrist, the desk is here, and I'm flat, and I'm bent my wrist, and I'm doing this. And if it's below me, it's even worse, right? So that is a typical standard mouse that you're used to seeing all the time. A vertical mouse or handshake style mouse, what you're doing is you're taking this flat experience and you're tilting your hand more and more towards a handshake. The concept there is, again, if I go to shake somebody's hand, my hand is automatically in the fully supported, my wrist is straight, the back of my wrist is straight, I'm not bending, I'm in a relaxed state. So the more I go to that, the less I bend to get that experience. Now, the funny thing is, I also can rest that issue we have of resting our hand isn't a problem with a handshake. Because once I rotate my hand over and I still have it straight, I can still rest that pad of my hand on the ground, but my wrist stays straight. So now I take my mouse, because I've rotated over a little bit to the side, my wrist is still straight, even if I have it resting on the desk, which is what we end up doing subconsciously when we use a mouse. Is that helpful? I don't know who asked the question. So, and they have more extreme ones, like when I was talking about it earlier, they have more extreme ones where it's literally the mouse is shaped like a wave, like an ocean wave that goes in your hand, and your hand actually is in full handshake mode, like you're going to reach out to somebody. It's in full handshake mode where the buttons are literally on the side, up and down, and the scroll mouse is here, and you're literally just handshaking on your desk.
Hey,
David, Alyssa actually has one. Go ahead.
Hi, I just got this recently, so I don't know if you can see it very well. It's not very bright in here, but
That's a
I
great
actually,
example.
yeah, so I got it on Amazon. I mean, they're not cheap. It was like $60, something like that for the wireless one, but you can see you hold on to it like that, and you just click at the top with your thumb just resting on the top.
They can go, if you're getting a standard looking mouse, not the grip style with the base that you have, but a standard looking mouse that's vertical, they can get as low as $16 to $18 for a wireless one. It's not going to have the same features and some of the advantages that Alyssa's has. It's a very nice model, but if you're cost conscious, there are some ranges of different options that you can get there. And they do go all the way up to $170 for a high-end gaming mouse with all kinds of different features in it. One of the other key features that can come in, it may actually be in Alyssa's model, is you can change the sensitivity by hitting a special button on those, which is actually a really nice thing to do. So the less you have to move around, the better, right? So think about small little movements achieving more. You can have variable speed on them or sensitivity so that the distance that you travel moves the mouse further, and you can adjust that depending on the type of work that you're doing to allow you to do big movements very quickly. And then when you want to do very accurate small movements, you can change that. That's another feature to look for if graphics design work or those kinds of things where you need to switch from like big movements to detailed movements. Variable DPI settings for those mice is also a really great feature to cut down on big movements.
Thank you,
Any other
everyone, for all of
questions?
the resources that are being put in the chat box. That's excellent. Thank you.
That's fantastic. I should have pulled my chat up there so I could see all this great stuff here.
Costco, Best Buy have been recommended.
Yeah, so Costco has some, they don't have a lot of this particular type of mouse. They do have some keyboards, but I don't believe they actually carry the one that I actually demonstrated today. And again, not just the ergonomic side of the matching the right angles of your natural state, that kind of thing. But one of the key things I don't want to lose here is get away from the old school giant buttons. Okay, the thinner the buttons, the less finger movement, the lighter the touch, the better long-term avoidance of inflammation and stuff from little movements, soreness in the hands, those types of things. So the lighter, the thinner, the better. That's another key thing for that. So I know a lot of this you guys might be well into, and I might be covering stuff you've already dealt with before. And you may not be comfortable trying something like a split keyboard because it might feel like a drastic change. One of the ways that you can deal with that is to get a model that's halfway in between, like the wave model from Logitech, where it's not completely split, but it has a wave to it to try and help you get used to it. So there's different ways that you can work yourself through that. But I do recommend giving it at least 2 or 3 weeks with a new model of committing to trying to use it. Your body will actually naturally adjust usually in that time frame. So just as perspective, my staff, I have about 30 staff here. I only have 2 users that have not completely gone over to using it the way that I suggested. But they had to use it for a few weeks. I got a lot of, this is very different, I don't know. And now everybody is pretty much using it across the board and is used to the experience. So now that we've gotten through some of this, I want to talk a little bit about monitors. So we've got our base set up. We've got our keyboard and mouse the right height. How do you go and place a monitor correctly? I actually brought a monitor in here. Hopefully we'll get some value out of this. Not being in person is a little bit more difficult, but what I want to talk a little bit about is how to properly set yourself up to view your monitor so that your body is in that natural relaxed state. We talked earlier about when you relax, your body naturally does those moves. We talked about scooching in the chair. We all have done that one, right? If my chair's not fitted correctly, well, we do a whole bunch of horrible things when it comes to visual stuff. We're going to talk about that. When we talk about height, okay, dead middle is not what we're trying. It turns out they measured all this stuff for us, okay? We're back to that wonderful 15-degree number again. The natural relaxed state when your head is at rest is actually a little bit lower than straight across, okay? So general rule of thumb to as a starting point to try. Now everybody's eyes are different, everybody's body. So we're talking about generalization of starting points and then tweak them on your own. But in general, we want to be 1/3 of the way from the top is eye level. Okay, 1/3. Now I would challenge all of you out there that you're actually doing that. Also, and this is super annoying, I have not met a single person that I've worked with that properly sets themselves up on their own. Get a second person to come up from the side and help you out. If I were right now, having done this for almost 30 years, to measure this for myself and put it where I think it belongs, I would probably be wrong. Getting
David, you're probably aware. You are aware. Okay.
get us, yeah, I can see when it does it. So getting a second person to help you just eyeball that 1/3 mark will really make a huge difference. Now, not only that, we're going to talk about where does it go. Keep doing that. Sorry about that off. It's just
David's having internet problems, obviously. I hope he can come back. If not, we will move on to Charlie and let her do her demonstration. But let's give him a couple more minutes. Thank you for your patience.
how about now? Can you guys see me okay? My backup camera. I'm just getting rid of the for some reason. Everybody hear me okay? See me okay? All right. The downside to this is this one might create a little echo if other people come in. So we'll have to be a little cognizant of not talking over each other. So what I was getting at is the other major challenge we have. Sorry, it's now on my laptop, so it's very low. But the other challenge that we have is distance. Okay. And it turns out the natural distance when we relax our eyes, not I'm looking at the distance or I'm reading a book and I'm focusing, but in active focus is about 18 to 21 inches. Now, if you think about 18 to 21 inches, in most people's case, that's an intimidating number and how close it is to your person. Okay. But this is what happens. Your eyes, when I focus, if I look at your screen right now and I'm focusing, my eyes do their thing and they focus and it's all crystal clear. If you do it for a couple of minutes, your eyes stop doing the work. Your brain tells your body to do it instead. It's crazy to watch. I've actually done it with a group just to see people do it and have them watch the experience. But this, I'm going to try and give you a visual. This is what happens. So I have my monitor 2 feet away and it's crystal clear and I look at it and it's great. Okay? I hit that 2-minute mark and my body's going to do one of two things or both. Okay? It will literally move me forward with my neck to the right relaxed position and stop using my eyes, or I will hunch forward and put my elbows on her desk. How many people find themselves in the middle of the workday randomly with their elbows on their desk? Okay? I guarantee you, you lost all the advantages and created a bunch of tension in your body. Subconsciously, your eyes stopped focusing, your back and your neck took over the job, and they just moved you to the right relaxed state. Your eyes don't want to stay tensed looking at stuff. So when you get into that for a long period of time, they will literally move your body subconsciously into the right position. Typically, those people that I have this particular issue with, I point them out very, very quickly, and I won't even have to see their desk. They have lumbar pain. They have pain in their lower back. They have sciatica nerve pain sometimes down their legs because they're actually pinching it off, leaning forward so much. They tend to have neck pain, not necessarily way at the base of the neck, but from there to the neck itself. The pain is consistent almost all the time with poor monitor placement. So you may say to yourself, okay, I got somebody to help me and I got the monitor so it's at the right height, right? You can buy every kind of stand there is. You guys are familiar with those. They range from 20 to $38. My recommendation is getting a stand, either a flat standing one for your desk. Get your monitors off your desk, get them up in the air. They're relatively cheap. When you do the emergency reams of paper under your monitor, that kind of thing, you just created more space disruption on your desk. It's very inexpensive to get a nice stand, either a clamp stand, bolt through stand, or a freestanding stand for your monitors, and lift those things up high enough where you're actually getting the monitor up, floating off your desk, but you get your desk back, because all that space becomes available for you to use. Like if you want to write on something, picking your keyboard up and moving it all the way forward with under the monitor and having a nice writing space without twisting and turning. So getting them up to where that 1/3 mark is key, using monitor stands, and instead of using boxes or other types of things, is going to make it more accurate, because they allow you, on those stands, they allow you a lot of fluidity and adjustment. For those that are above 5'10", you may want to actually consider also getting an extra large version. It may have a double extended where it can go as high as like 2 feet tall. You may only use a few inches of that extension that goes higher. Worth every bit of it to not just be stuck at 18 inches as far as the center mount position, but to go that extra few inches. Worth it to get an XL, and it's only like $5 to $10 more for an inexpensive one. Also, if we're talking about saving money, you do not need to get the fancy $200 hydraulic arm units. You can actually easily on Best Buy or Amazon, you can find solid arm units that are pull adjustable units for the $25 to $35 range. You don't need to spend a fortune to do this. When I came on board, one of my big arguments is I had some people within, and they're like, well, we can't afford to spend $180 for every single staff member to roll out your idea. And I just sent an Amazon link for $32 to hand to HR and said, so can we do it now? And it is standard on every single desk in my entire course. So injuries from lower back, that kind of thing, if you find yourself on your elbows recapping, if you're doing the hunch forward lead, we lose all that back support we spent all that money on our chair for. Get that monitor closer. And again, using a second person, using someone to help you get that distance. I've literally had people pull measuring tape out or a yardstick to try and get there. Here's the deal. First time I ever do this with somebody that's always just had their thing in the back of their desk, right? It's a big move to go from the back of a 30-inch desk up to 18 inches in one go. Don't do it. Move it an inch or two at a time closer. Move it in small increments. Do it for a week or two and adjust it until you get it to that 18 to 20-inch range. And once you get it there, it's life-changing. You're going to feel so much less stress in your lower back, in your neck. It's mind-blowing how much of a difference that distance makes. And you'll stop doing this stuff because you'll be able to relax. In fact, when it's closer and your eyes are relaxed, that subconscious muscle versus eye focus thing is in your favor, because when your eyes are relaxed, they actually force you to get to the right position, because your eyes, now that subconscious action puts you in a state of health, puts you in a state of support without you putting in effort. You're not going to want to sit 12 inches from that monitor because it's going to feel weird. So your body's going to naturally get your spine straight, and it's going to get you in that relaxed state. So
David, I'd just like to interrupt you here. Unless you have one final comment, I want to make sure we have time for Charlie. I'm going to move my monitor forward as I speak to you because I realize I'm looking way too far away. I have so many adjustments to make. Did you want to say anything else before we move on to Charlie?
Well, I apologize. I have so many more things that we could cover around this and injuries to talk about. I apologize. I tried to go quickly and cover as much as I could. Thank you all for your time in this awkward remote situation, trying to bear with me describing these things. And I leave you in Charlie's hands. The next thing I'd say is getting up and moving is one of the most critical things you can do to your day. And Charlie's going to give us great examples of how to do that.
Thanks so much, David. It was really fascinating. Interesting. You've given us a lot of food for thought, and you've probably generated a lot of business for some of these ergonomic places as well. All right. So Charlie, are you ready to get going? Look at her already in her gear.
Okay, yay, good. So welcome everybody. I'm Charlie. I'm working here at the Y, and I have a bunch of classes like Oversight. I have the older population, the younger, they want to go hit and go crazy with weights or go crazy with cardio. I also have Zumba. But today we're going for a easy chair yoga, just 15 minutes. So what I want you to encourage, take a chair that has no armrests on the side and take your shoes off, and then you're ready to go. Good. Okay. And then we're actually standing up for the beginning. And you can stand wherever you feel comfortable. But take your shoes off. I encourage you to do that to feel a little bit better in your feet, where your feet connect the floor. Good. And I guess you are more or less ready now. And then just bring the feet about hip distance apart. Maybe the toes are slightly inward, a little pigeon toes. And then soften your feet down to the earth. Feel the four corners of your feet, the two in the balls of the feet and the two in the heels of the feet. And then lift toes and set them gently down. And if you want, you can close your eyes and roll the shoulders back and down. Feel a long, tall back. Tuck the chin in slightly and feel at the crown of the head, strings pulling you up in a long spine. From the hips down, ground down through the floor, through the earth, and from the hips up, feel light. Just breathe. Take slow breath here, if possible, in and out through the nose, and then guide it all the way down into your belly. Expand the belly with each inhale. And with each exhale, let the belly button move back to the spine. Take 2 to 3 more breaths like that. Inhale all the way down into your belly. Expand the belly, the rib cage over the back. And exhale, soften whatever you can soften. Maybe it's the knees a little bit bent. Maybe it's your forehead. Inhale, lengthen up. Expand through the belly, the chest, the back, the crown of the head. Grow. And on your exhale, just release the belly button to the spine, keeping that length. And then on your next inhale, open up your eyes and bring the arms over the sides, all the way up. Interlace the hands above you. And then turn around so the palms are facing the sky. And stretching the fingers, releasing the shoulders down away from the ears, softening your neck, stretching the wrists and the fingers. If your arms are not completely stretched, don't worry, it's more important to keep the shoulders low. And then exhale down. And let's do that a little bit faster. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, release down. Inhale, arms up. Stretching out long, soften your knees, lengthen from the spine. Exhale down. You're going to roll your shoulders back and down. And then again, interlace the fingers in front of you. And then bring the back of the hands up as high as you can without lifting the shoulder, tilting at the wrists, give your wrists a stretch. Exhale down over the side. Inhale. Back of the hands moving up. Straighten your hands, your fingers. Exhale. Inhale. Take that breath. Fill up. Exhale. Good. Soften your shoulders back and down and take a seat on your chair. And then place your hands. I hope you all can see me well. If not, let me know. Okay. Okay, place your hands on top of the knees, a little cupcakes. Soften the shoulders down. Take an inhale. Roll the shoulders back and bring the shoulder blades along the spine down. Popping up the chest, rocking forward on the sitting bones. Maybe you look up. Exhale, reverse back. Ground your back. Soften the shoulders and the neck. Inhale. Exhale, round. Inhale. Exhale, round. Inhale, pop up the chest one more time. Take an inhale and bring the hands to the tops of the shoulders and then twist to the right. Exhale. Inhale, lengthen to the center. Exhale, twist to the left. Inhale, center. Exhale, twist. Inhale, center. Exhale, twist. One more inhale. Exhale, twist. Inhale, center. Exhale, twist. Good. Come forward and then come all the way over to the side of the chair. Come to the really side of the chair, so my cheeks are on the right side of the chair to see. And then bring your hands together at your heart space. Relaxing the shoulders and curl the belly in. Rolling back, gauge the belly. And then twist to the back of the chair. Rolling forward, stay low. Exhale, twist. Forward. Exhale, twist. Inhale, hold tight with the belly. Exhale, twist. Now reaching up a little back forward. Sometimes last. Exhale, twist. One more. Inhale. Exhale, twist. And then come up, straighten out your back. Place the feet about hip distance apart. Bring the hands again to your heart. Rock forward into your heels and hover over your chair. So you're pretty close at the chair. Hovering just above. Feel that your legs are warming up. And gaze down. Can you see your toes? You want to be able to see them. Straighten out your back, soften the shoulders. If you want, you can extend the arms overhead, maybe gaze up. Let the legs get a little activated after a long sleep. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, reach up all the way up to standing. Hands down. And then down by the sides. Good. Sit down again. And just scoot a little forward to your knee. Bring your left leg back. Bring your left heel on top of the toes, stretching through the soles of the foot. And then bring your front heel below the front knee. Lengthen out the spine. Good. And then tuck into the toes, tuck into the front heel, and come up. Bring so you're hovering above the chair. If you don't like that, sit down again. Good. And then bring the inner thighs towards each other, pulling the back toes forward, front heel back. Good. Either grab the strap, or you can bring the hands together. Good. And then bring the elbows forward and hold the hands behind you down. Releasing the shoulders down, engaging the belly. And release it down. Good. And then let go with the back hand. just your right hand, grab behind for that strap. So you have this position here. Yeah, and then pull, walk the hands towards each other a little bit tighter. Stretching out, hold the belly tight, lengthen out the spine, tuck the chin in and pull the head. Breathe in, breathe out. Good. Release your strap. And then come forward to the front of the chair. Release the strap over the thighs and just swing your arms out a little bit. Side to side. Good. Let's do that on the other side. You can put the strap or whatever you have to the back of the chair on the floor. Bring your hands towards center, roll back. Hold the belly tight. Exhale, twist to the back of the chair. Inhale, center, exhale, twist. Inhale, center, exhale, twist. Inhale, center, exhale, twist. Inhale, center, exhale, twist. One more. The belly should be nice and warm now. Exhale, twist. Good. Come on forward. Dig into the heels. Hover over your chair. Feel those legs again. Waking them up. Lay the arms up. Soften your shoulders. Take an inhale. Hold the belly tight. Get the lower ribs to the hips as you lengthen out the back. On your next inhale, straighten up. Hands to the heart and then down by yourself. Good. Sit down again. Get your right leg back. Dig into the back toes, back heels on top of toes. Dig into the front heel. Scissoring the inner thighs together. Square the hips to the side. And then come up. Whoop. Squeezing the inner thighs more together. Again, if you don't like, sit down. Good. And then take your strap, your bag, whatever you have to down. Elbows forward. Bring the hands behind you down. And to the best of your ability, bring the elbows in and shoulders down. Sit down, let go of the back hand and grab from behind the strap. If I can find it here. Tuck the chin and push the head back and walk the hands to each other. Hold the belly tight to lengthen out the back. Take an inhale. Take an exhale. Take an inhale here. Take an exhale. Good. Release the strap, but take it with you as you're coming behind the chair. I turn my chair. Good. Okay. Then step with your left leg a little bit back, squaring the hips to the back of the chair, and your back toes are slightly in an angle, just a tiny bit. The toes straight forward. Get that strap behind you, palms facing forward, thumbs out. Roll the shoulders back and down, and then lead with the heart. Reach from the hips. Lift the belly off and open up over the front. Separate the collarbones and roll the shoulders back and down. Engage in the back here. And squaring the hips. You feel a little stretch in your right back of the leg. You soften, maybe don't go as low. Lengthen out. Take one more inhale. Exhale. Come on up. Get quickly, put the strap over, step out in a wide position, toes facing forward or more pigeon toes, and then slide your arms forward, hinging from the hips again. Maybe let your head bend down. Stretching the inside of the legs. On your next inhale, come up again. Let's switch to the other leg. The right leg back, left leg forward. Get your strap again in and square up the hips. Hinge from the hips, push your left hip back, your right forward. Lengthen out the spine. Soften your knees. Push equal weight into both feet. Coming back up, straighten up with an inhale. Good. And we're gonna finish with a really relaxing pose. So either sit on the chair, or if you want, you can sit to the front leg of the chair and then kind of swing your calf on top of the legs, rest the calves on top of the chair and stay here. So butt is pretty close, like the legs come up a little bit. Bring your hands seated or laying down on your belly, one on top of the belly button, one above, one above and one below, sorry, the belly button. Relax the shoulders.
Charlie, while we're all relaxed and laying on our back, although I'm in my chair because I'm doing the technology, I just wanted to say thank you so much for doing this. We are over time, so I want to respect everyone's time. I really appreciate you doing this for us. Thank you all for attending. I will send you the upcoming classes that we have because we have some really good ones coming up. I'm going to send those to you in an email. So have a great day, everyone. Have a relaxing day.
Thank you so much. And maybe stay seated or stay with the legs up if that's comfortable, right? Thanks a lot for having me.
Bye.